Hey mate, mateys, matettes, welcome back to another episode of TheNewCanvas. My apologies that it's taken a monumental amount of time between the last episode and this one, and I've already got another 5 in the bank waiting to go. It's just been pretty full on here as I've pivoted my business from being predominantly recruitment into video production. So I'm really following, I guess, the passion and what I've learnt as I've kind of been on this journey with the new canvas, and you'll soon hear about some other bits and pieces. Anyway, don't want to jump the gun there. Today it's all about Phil DiBella. So Phil DiBella, he is, amongst many things, the founder of the hugely successful DiBella coffee chain. So in this episode, you'll learn not only what it takes to create a successful brand, but how you could potentially do something that shapes an entire industry. And there aren't too many people who could hand on heart say that they've done that. And Phil is certainly one, although he does humbly say that others were in the mix, but he certainly is someone who I think has been a true pioneer. In the times that I've met him, I've found him to be a really down-to-earth guy who cares about his family, cares about his employees. He is a true entrepreneur before the word became such a buzzword. I have to admit that he's a lot more grounded than what I actually thought, and I don't know why I had some perception that perhaps he'd be a showy, cocky sort of person, or a bit brash or something like that. I think he's definitely someone who's on the move, he's on the hop, he's doing things, but he was really interested in what I was doing and what I had to say, and the fact that he was willing to come and take part when I didn't even have any episodes off the ground yet was really awesome. So look, sit back, relax, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy what Phil has to share. Talk soon.
Every so often, something in the course of time happens that is so monumental that it creates an entire paradigm shift in the way that we think, create and operate with the world around us. The rules are rewritten. The playing field is changed. It is at this perfect intersection of time, technology and thinking that the brave few seize the tools available to them and the new canvas laid in front of them and create something truly amazing. These are their stories and the stories of other up-and-coming businesses, artists, creators and collaborators. This is the new canvas.
Here we go.
Episode number 2 was actually filmed as the first episode, and we were very, very green in terms of the setup. We were a little bit flustered because we probably didn't give ourselves enough time getting there, and a variety of other things that were good learning exercises. So the audio, of course, still has the issue with sound coming from the office, so you will hear some background noise, so I do apologise for that. Then the other big drama, which has been a little bit of a headache for me in terms of the editing, is somehow or other we either didn't press record or I've accidentally deleted the main camera footage. So thank God we've actually got Phil recorded, so he's on screen, but there's very little footage of myself on screen. G'day Phil, welcome here for the new canvas. So we've got Phil DiBella with us today. He's a man that I'm sure most people know. It's a household name, the DiBella coffee franchise, spread all around the world. A multi-award winner, a Young Entrepreneur Award winner, I think Entrepreneur of the Year Award winner, Lord Mayor Citizenship Award winner, and I believe even something along the lines of an Italian knighthood. And a strong family man, which is something I really value, is I guess that human connection and the authenticity. So yeah, I'd love to spend a little bit of time understanding who is Phil DiBella, like the background story, like a bit of the picture of your childhood and I suppose what brought about this passion in coffee and passion in family.
Yeah, no, Brad, thanks for having me. Simple, I'm a son of migrants. I mean, I'm very proud of my Italian heritage. I've got an older brother and an older sister. I mean, my brother's 13 years older, my sister's 11 years older. So I was always grown up around older people, which probably helped me mature a lot quicker, and certainly helped in the learning process at a younger age, having older, wiser people around you. You know, came from a very humble family. Dad tells a story migrating here with, you know, the 2 kids. You know, there were 4 people in one suitcase.
Wow.
3 months on a boat. And I suppose, you know, one of the values I learnt straight away is that of hard work. And then you go on and you learn obviously about family, and I remember now some of the wise words of Dad, and you know, about hanging around people that are smarter than you and being careful that it only takes one mistake to screw up your life. You know, my dad spent a lot of time talking to me, showing me things. You know, if he was bottling wine, I was there with him. If they were making olives and sauce and all those great Italian things, and sausages and salami, and you know, they were very, very inclusive, and you really, really appreciated the small things. And
Yeah.
so that whole togetherness and family and going to the beach with aunties and uncles and cousins really shaped the community side of who I am today. And so that's the family side. I talk about family, professional and personal. From a professional side, I've always been quite entrepreneurial, and I don't like the word entrepreneur because everyone aspires to be an entrepreneur, but it doesn't exist. It's not
Become a bit of a buzzword at the moment.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It's, you know, to me, it's more about of an intelligence. And the whole concept of that intelligence is that you're constantly looking at things and saying, how can I do it different or better? And I was always curious, and I think curiosity breeds great emotional intelligence, because you're constantly asking questions, you're constantly looking at how you can do things different. And then the other side of that entrepreneurial intelligence is that you have the ability to create your own resources. And one of the most famous parts of the DeBella story is that it started with $5,000. It didn't start with, you know, investors and handouts and big amounts of money. It started with 5,000. So the resources were limited. You know, it was using somebody else's roaster, etc., etc. But that started from a young age. That whole curiosity. You know, at 8 years old, 9 years old, I was out cutting the grass, washing the car, looking at how I could cook and watching Mum cook and wanting to learn things and all the rest. But it was something that obviously now that I look back and reflect really shaped. So
Yeah.
I always say to people, encourage my own kids, ask a question.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a snapshot, you know, from my upbringing of how it's shaped me now in terms of personal, family and professional.
Yeah, excellent. I imagine having, you know, siblings who are like that significant amount older, those guys would be up on a pedestal, really, wouldn't they? Because they're kind of like, you know, a fair few strides ahead in terms of their development.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you get to see a path guided in front of you by people that you love and trust, you know, and value,
Yeah.
and they're there ahead of you. It certainly did shape me and help me a lot, having that older siblings. But again, little things like that. Remember, and obviously my cousins are a lot older, so spending time with my cousins, you know, going to the beach, we used to have a ball. You know, we'd all get together and do barbecues and all sorts of stuff, and running, and as I said, the parents were all inclusive. I remember down at Sandgate one Saturday, it was in the afternoon, they'd all had a bit of wine, and the kids started running races, and the adults thought it would be a great idea for them to join in. You know, and I think there was about 12 or 14 adults, and not one of them escaped without a graze. So they'd all fallen over at some stage,
Yeah.
you know, in the race. But I mean, everyone just picked themselves up, had a laugh, and it's amazing. And I just got back from Italy a month ago, and people asked me how was the trip, and I said, it's just so beautiful to see. It's like coming back in time. That where they get up and they have breakfast as a family, and they value that. They then, because August over there is obviously their holiday time, they all go to the beach, they all play volleyball on the beach, or they sit around and have coffee at the beach. Then they're organising where they're going to go for dinner. Just simple things. They go for a walk, you know, out through the streets, you know, that sort of stuff. It just sort of slows everything down.
Yeah.
And you go back to appreciating, you know, what it was like when I was younger, because that's what happened. Because there wasn't technology and phones and everyone's accessible and this speed and frenetic pace. And I think, you know, evolution's great, but I think also going back and remembering to slow down, all the rest of it is fantastic. So a lot of my stories from youth are around that community, family, slowing down, enjoying the small things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, I suppose, you know, we're both of an age category where we've sort of seen technology, you know, come from non-existence, like pre-internet. Nowadays, you kind of talk about pre-internet, makes you feel like some sort of historical dinosaur. The kids just, what do you mean? There was no Facebook, there was no internet.
100%.
But yeah, like I'm sort of someone who loves innovation and loves technology and loves, I guess, you know, seeing where things are going. But then at the same time, there's a strong part of me that kind of wants that simpler kind of life, you know, and just kind of, I think it's really important to have that time to connect, you know, so it's beautiful. thing that I guess you've been able to have that break. So I suppose, yeah, one of the things that I'm really interested in is that the building blocks, or the bits and pieces, I guess, that fall into place, that evolve in someone's mind, and the events that transpire that ultimately lead someone into making a decision to go into business.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit of take us through that?
So now I've opened several businesses in all different parts of the world, and I've always followed the same model. Tip number one was very simple. I believe you learn a lot more from people that do things wrong than those that do things right. All you learn to do when people do things right is to copy them, right? And if they're doing a great thing, yeah, you're going to learn, but you're only going to learn how to copy them. I spent 9 years in a place. It was the first roasting house in Brisbane, and it had so much potential. It was the first cafe that roasted its own coffee. It had the potential to build a wholesale business. It had potential to do all sorts of stuff, and it didn't. And I spent 9 years there, and I learned how people should not run a business. So 9 years there really set the foundation of, I'd look at things, I'd keep notes, and I'd go, what would I do different? How can I do it better? That whole entrepreneurial intelligence approach of, what can I do different or better, and how would I create my resources? In 2002, the time came to do it. And so when I went about doing it, there was 1,500 competitors that you could buy coffee from.
Yeah.
So my model, my first part of my template is very simple, is what problem am I going to solve? What's the problem that exists in the coffee industry that I'm going to solve? It's not a bag of coffee. You can buy a bag of coffee from 1,500 places. It was service. So the coffee manufacturing industry was the manufacturing and supply was just a supplier industry. It was all about product.
Yeah.
What I set out to do was to make it a service business. I said, I'm going to turn this industry into a service business, which meant the transaction will be selling the bag of beans to somebody, but it's not going to be just a bag of beans. What we did then was we became virtually a franchise system without a franchise fee. And by the end of it, when I fully exited last year, 30 June 2017, after the earn-out, we were a company that would read your leases for you. We could help you with your marketing, give you IR and HR advice. We would manufacture coffee, we'd train your staff, we'd service your equipment, we'd give you a networking list of food suppliers, dry goods suppliers. We even negotiated great electricity prices. We were a full-scale support service, like business consulting, but our transaction was a bag of coffee. That's how we got paid.
Yeah.
And what we did in the industry over that 15-year period is we revolutionised it. If you look at a coffee company now, they have to offer service. They have to train your staff, service your machine. Some will do more, but the very basic company has to do that, otherwise they won't exist.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that it was the DeBella brand that actually created that in the industry. Everyone loved drinking coffee, second most drunk beverage in the world, but no one knew much about it. So 13 years ago, it was 2 years in, and we've done really well in Queensland. We're about to head into Melbourne in 2005. I looked at the industry and I said, well, let's expose a little bit more about where the product comes from. So we started in 2005 and we used it as an entry into Melbourne, talking about the farms and the farmers and people that actually produce coffee, which never used to happen. Fast forward now to 2018, everybody's talking about the producer and the farmer and the region, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say we were certainly the most vocal about it and started the process, but a lot of people jumped on board and did that as well. There's some people doing amazing things in the coffee industry. And so there's some examples of what problem are we going to solve, and that to me is obviously a very proud thing, because we built something that didn't exist, but not only did we build something that didn't exist, we shaped the industry. And as I said, now there's some amazing coffee companies doing amazing things, and the cafe owners are more supported, and the suppliers, and it's not just the coffee industry. I mean, I've heard stories of suppliers talk about, we follow the DeBella model of service, where it's about exceeding customer expectation, not customer service. Exceeding a customer's expectation means you've got to know what the expectation is. You've actually got to communicate with the customer, benchmark what they want, because not every customer is the same, and then go about exceeding it.
Yeah.
So, they're the things that really put a smile on my face. It all, to me, comes back about follow the process, have a very clear vision of what it is that you want to be and create. And for DeBella, we wanted to help cafe owners make money. The vision there was very simple. The problem we were going to solve was to help cafe owners make money. The vision was to help cafe owners make money. We were passionate about it. We were resilient about it. We made sure that that's what we did. That was our focus. We created a brand around it, right? The brand was that if you went with DeBella, they benchmark where you are now and where you could possibly grow to, and they would help you get there.
Yeah.
So we created this brand that was about support and trust, and the number one word, which I love, which is not a buzzword, care.
Yeah.
Just the simple word care.
Yeah.
We cared about our customers. We cared about our people internally.
Yeah.
I used to make people care about each other. The word care is underrated. You show care and the rest happens. We follow our process, our vision, our passion, our brand. The results come. The numbers take care of themselves. It's great to be ambitious, and it's great to want to, be what they serial entrepreneur and all these fancy titles and have so much going. But you've got to work within your capability. And I say it a lot. That people get their capability mixed up with their ambition. So it's okay to be ambitious, but you've got to make sure that your ambition is within your capability. Otherwise, you're shooting for stars you're never going to reach.
Yeah.
And that's something that I see a lot of. And you've got to make sure that you stay true to what your personal brand is. Probably a good way to segue into brand. Personal brand versus company brand is something I'm very strong on. People say, how did you get so many people to bellow to march to the beat of the drum of the company? I made them care about their own brand first. So I used to say to people, don't worry about the developer brand, worry about your personal brand. Let's work on you, making sure that you have goals, purposes, whatever you want to call them, in your personal, professional and family life. Let's map out what that looks like, and let's map out what you need to do to achieve it. And the moment that I made it about them and their personal brand, well, the staff engagement hit over 90%. The work rates were just phenomenal. The growth of the company trended up even stronger, and everybody was happy and loving the place. So that word care comes up again, showing people that you care and making them care about their personal brand. Then they will ultimately care about your brand.
Yeah. I've heard some and read some disturbing kind of figures around employee engagement and happiness in the workplace. It's something I'm kind of quite passionate about, and something I heard the other day was saying about 3/4. This was an American study, but about 3/4 of the American population are disenfranchised with their current role. They're not engaged, so you've got maybe 25% of your workforce who want to be there and kind of pushing forward, and then you've got at least a quarter who are kind of already trying to make their way out the door, sort of engaged.
Totally, and the formula I ran, which is a study they did out of Harvard, and I'm fortunate enough to actually studied at Harvard, they talk about, number one is job security. The other thing they want is job place flexibility, and I say to people, like our dispatch team in summer would start at 4 a.m. because they didn't want to be there at 3 p.m. when it was warmer.
Yeah.
And that was something that I did. I always used to say to my people and culture, because I didn't believe in HR. I'm sure there'll be a question around that. But people and culture, because it didn't have to be a qualified person in HR to run it.
Yeah.
It needed to be a qualified person of people that knew how to get the best out of people and knew how to make sure that they were the custodian of a great culture, that the culture belonged to the people.
Yeah.
And what I used to sit down and say to my people and culture person was, we need to be able to go to people and increase their wage before they need to ask. Because the moment that they need to ask, we haven't engaged with them, we haven't done a good job.
Yeah.
And that meant that certain things that my people and culture person would do is we'd map out any talents any staff had, that they speak another language, photography, blah, 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 blah. We'd also map out where they wanted to be in 3 years. What was their dream job in 3 years? So in my organisation, my director of development, who was with me for 13 years, started as my PA. When she came in as my PA, she was actually a barista in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So from being a barista, she wanted an office job. From then an office job, she wanted to be in sales. And then she wanted to lead the sales team. And 13 years later, when I left, she was the director of development. Yeah. Right? It's a great story that I love telling, because she started as a barista.
Yeah.
But what did Minna have? She had a very clear vision of what she wanted to be. She had a very clear vision of who she was. And she was loyal. Yeah. And therefore the company gave her job security, job flexibility and appreciation on all levels, and she's a person that just went from start to a shining star.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of those stories within the organisation. But that was my people model.
Yeah, that's great, and it actually segues perfectly into another topic that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is something I suppose it's close to my heart for personal reasons. When I finished high school, I was like, okay, what am I going to do with myself? And I thought, I'll take a year off and I'll sort of try and figure it out, and then I'll go to uni. And I took a year off, but I kind of got into hospitality, then I fell into sales, and it just sort of evolved from there. I never ended up going to uni or needing to go to uni. And that was okay, but something I realised sort of later in life is that because my two older sisters were very good at school and they loved academia and that sort of thing, and they did really well, it just kind of wasn't my bag. I think for a long period, like if I look back maybe even as much as 10 years, I devalued my own personal kind of intelligence because I hadn't kind of gone and ticked that sort of box. I think fortunately nowadays the world's sort of shifting and changing, and not everybody's sort of so hinged to you have to have been to university. And so both that story that you've just shared about somebody rising from being a barista through to ending up in that kind of people and culture space, or someone operating in people and culture who doesn't come from a HR degree qualified sort of background, and your own journey, I guess, through the education system, and even where you sit now as an entrepreneur in residence with Griffith. What's your opinion around, do you need to go to uni, don't you need, where does uni sit now?
Well, and I'd probably, the good thing you're going to like, Brad, is don't beat yourself up over it, right?
Yeah.
When I was at uni, because I went to uni more for my parents, because I was the first ever, migrant son to go to uni in their group of friends and all the rest of it. When I look back at it now, uni was just another process. It was another resource. I am not where I am today because of uni. It's because it was another resource. It taught me so much. But working 9 years at Cosmopolitan Coffee taught me more. But it was part of the journey. And so, in short, people that look back and go, I didn't go to uni, don't beat yourself up about it, because it's part of the journey. So instead of going to uni, you learn lessons from somewhere else. Fast forward to today, and this is part of the work that I'm doing with the university, and part of what I love about Harvard, is the executive education programs.
Yeah.
So the executive education programs is where the future lies now.
Yeah.
It's all about intensives now, and we're working on it with Griffith. And I did a stint with them for 6 years earlier. It's all about those 8-week courses, those 2-day courses. It's all about certificates now. It's not about degrees and diplomas and this sort of stuff. It's about topics. Like I did the 1 week, which is equivalent to 1 year at Harvard. I did it in 1 week. Instead of going once a week, I did 7 days of 7 in the morning to 11 at night. And I came out of it with a certificate in strategic negotiation and did it in 1 week at Harvard, living on campus. It was amazing.
Wow.
I want to go do another one next year in a different area. That's where the future of education is going. So if you wanted to study, and that's the reason it's going that way, is because it's targeted and specific.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go and learn about social media or social marketing, you'd go learn about social marketing. You want to learn about advertising, you'd go and learn about advertising. And you go do an intensive. It's about shaping it to the needs and solving a problem. You're going to hear that kid coming up. What problem are they solving? And for a long time, universities haven't solved the problem. They've just been part of a process. They've been a destination rather than a journey. And universities are now becoming journey, not destination.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I think it fits in, especially from my own sort of perspective. If I find something that I'm interested in, then I'm just interested in it 100%. I'll binge out. I'll just create. I listen to a lot of stuff on podcasts, and I watch a lot of things on YouTube, and and read, or I listen to audio books and what have you. And so if I'm interested in a topic, then I can consume a vast quantity of information. I think with school, the problem back in my era was still that kind of phase where it's just like get a bunch of pegs and put them all through the same hole, and use testing as a way to kind of to measure them.
That's a good point, Brad, and it still happens. And I say to my kids now, I don't want to see you be smart because you can recite or recall information. What we're not teaching, and I certainly made sure that I did teach and do teach with my kids, is analysing. How do you analyse the data so that you can actually break it down, understand it, and then make strategy about whatever it is? And that's something that doesn't happen. But that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I look at stuff like that when people I don't get upset when people do things wrong, because I look at it as opportunity for someone else to do it right. It really is mindset, and I'm really big into mindset. My wife is a mindset coach.
Right.
And she does some amazing work with startups and successful businesses, and it's all around helping people get clarity. And it's amazing because they think that a coach is there to tell you what to do. The best coaches don't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
They navigate you through your thoughts and ideas so that you put things into focus so that you can then make great decisions.
Realise what you already understand.
Correct. They help you build your own strengths. So she's qualified in Gallup strengths testing. She's NLP. So all this sort of stuff that helps her navigate people's clarity. She's done a lot of work with me and my teams and stuff like that, because that's so important, that whole mindset. And I think if you said, okay, so give me one word, it's mindset.
Yeah.
From a young age to middle age to later on in life, everything is about mindset.
Yeah.
It's mindset. You look at the kids from a young age, those that achieve and those that don't, and those that get through hardships and problems, and illness is a big one. People that you look at people and you see the strength that they have, that they get through an illness, and you see others that don't, and the difference is mindset.
Yeah.
So I'm an observer. I like to observe, I like to look, I like to collect data, but then more importantly, I like to analyse.
So, what are you excited about at the moment? Like, what are the things that you're kind of seeing happening in the world, and what are you...
Well, I get asked a lot about robotics. So, about technology, robots going to take over jobs. And the best example I can use, a mate of mine owns a steel company, and he replaced some of his welders with technology, with robots. yet he for 2 machines he's bought and got rid of 2 welders, he's employed 10 other jobs. So he's a great example to use that jobs will change.
Yeah.
There won't be less jobs in the marketplace, there'll be more jobs because of technology and robots. It's just the type of jobs will change. Kids right now should be looking at what the jobs look like in 10, 20 years.
Absolutely.
You know, what are they? You're always going to need a marketer. You're always going to need surgeons. You know, you won't need as many surgeons because it might be robotic surgery, but you're going to need surgeons that know how to program the robotics or service the robotics. You know, there's always going to be need. Food and beverage is massive and undervalued.
Yeah.
Where humans are always going to have to eat food. So, you know, agriculture, growing food, all these sort of jobs that people, you know, where they get scared about robotics and all the rest of it, there's some very simple jobs that are going to need a lot more people in it. We're going to need a lot more farmers. We're going to need a lot more people working in agriculture. We're going to need those sort of roles, right? Because those things can't take care of themselves. You're going to need swim teachers, right? You're going to need hairdressers. You know, those basic things that people just don't think about when it comes to that. So I'm excited about that. What I'm excited about is people say, what's your purpose right now? Right now, especially through my consulting, is to help people accelerate their potential.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing things like this. I get involved with speaking at schools and stuff like that. I love seeing people accelerate their potential. It's actually a passion of mine and my wife's. Our ultimate thing is to set up a centre of excellence where, you know, where kids of the early age come through and can accelerate their potential and learn. That's our thing for the future that we want to build. You know, but that's what drives me. And I operate under the memorandus of, you know, Gandhi's words. Be part of the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
You know, when people say, what's your why? My why? Be part of the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
So I do a little bit with politics, I do a little bit with the why, and when you started up and you said, I'm involved in a lot of stuff, that's why.
Yeah.
Be part of that change.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm not a fan of the political system and how it runs in this country. Forget the people side, it's the system that's not right. So I'm getting involved to be part of the change I want to see.
Yeah.
Do I see myself as a politician? No.
Yeah.
I see myself advising to politicians to getting involved on that side, because again, the ability and capability, you know, I don't want to get that mixed up. I'm not capable to be a politician.
Yeah.
It's not my style. You know, so putting into some of the stuff we've spoken about and tying it all together.
Yeah.
It is about being part of the change you want to see.
Yeah.
Remember, it is about solving problems. It is about being in the people business, become an expert with people. Common denominator of success is forming a habit to do what other people are not prepared to do.
Okay.
You know, the common denominator of failure is poor communication. Yeah. So successful people that I've seen and analysed are those that form a habit of doing what others are not prepared to do. You know, like I see people now start up in the coffee business. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to make the product about the consumer. They want to make it about themselves. They don't want to go to the markets like I did on a Saturday morning at 3:30 or on a Sunday at 3:30 and back it up. You know, work 7 days a week. They think that it's their right to have the weekends off. Successful people form a habit. They're resilient. They form habits to do things that others aren't prepared to do, because that's how we compete. If you think about it, that's how we compete at school. Not everyone can get straight A's. You know, not everybody is going to be successful. But you find that the ones that are those that are prepared to do what others are not prepared to do. And of course, I don't mean by breaking the law.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that one.
Yeah. What's the main piece of advice that you give to people coming through and talking to you at Griffith, you know, on that entrepreneurial sort of space? I suppose they're in that startup sort of mindset. What do you tend to kind of...
One of those biggest key nuggets I can give is risk management. Should I change a job? Should I change my partner? Should I change whatever? Should I? Get comfortable with the worst possible thing that can happen.
Worst possible scenario.
Yeah. And when you're comfortable with your worst possible scenario, then don't let anybody or anything stop you, because that's when I made that transition from an employee to a business owner. I looked at the worst possible thing that could happen, which was lose $5,000.
Yeah.
Lose 6 months, 12 months of my life. Okay, 26. This is the worst thing that can happen? Fine. I just then go get another job. I'm comfortable with it, go. And nothing stopped me.
Yeah.
That's something that's always worked in my life, you know, is get comfortable with the worst possible thing that can happen.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss does a great piece on that. I don't know whether you've seen...
No, somebody told me about that.
Yeah.
Apparently he's done a TEDx talk on it or something.
He's done a TEDx talk about it, and he basically, he's got almost like a worksheet you can go through.
Fantastic.
And, you know, talks about what is the absolute worst, what are all the worst outcomes that could happen off the back of this decision.
Yep.
And then what would I have to do to reverse them? And he said, by the time you've actually gone through that, most of the time you find it's actually quite easily reversed. It's even like that whole thing you're talking about, like making that leap to go into business. I think so often, people who sit on the sidelines, the naysayers and whatever's the doubters, they'll go, it makes it feel almost as if like this is going to ruin your life. But as you said, worst thing, maybe you've lost some cash, you can still go get another job.
You know what the key there is, but the key there is putting it on paper.
Yeah.
The key to all that?
The goals.
Putting anything on paper.
Yeah.
Our brain has 15,000 conversations with itself, over 15,000 conversations a day.
Yeah.
So we could be telling ourselves some pretty damaging stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the key, listening to you explain that whole thing about Tim Ferriss, it's not even about what he's doing, it's the process.
Yeah.
And the process of actually getting pen and paper and writing it down and planning it. And the amount of times I hear people say, when I say to them, do you have a plan? They go, yeah, it's up here. Dangerous. So if you've got a plan, get a piece of paper and a pen and put it on paper.
Get it outside.
That's right, because that doesn't lie.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks so much, Phil.
Thank you. It's been great.
As I said, another great episode. I'm sure that there was a lot of information in there that you gained. You might want to revisit some of it. I am sort of heading down a path of having an extended version, like a longer, closer to the actual real thing version for those of you who want more detail and you've got the time to spend watching it. And then this kind of slightly more condensed version, which is still around that 29-30 minute mark, but it's obviously a bit more palatable for a lot of people. I love the family, personal and professional. I love the focus on personal brand, and it highlights further that we live in an era where personal brand does matter. Look, whether you like it or not, or you think that people who really put a lot of time into it are full of themselves, maybe I might be falling into that category with self-promotion, whatever the case might be. It's not that I am full of myself, it's more that I just want to get my message out and ideally get to help other people to change their lives. So just look further on the personal brand, something I was thinking is that we've all got a personal brand, whether you like it or not, because even if you have a limited digital profile, your name still exists out there. People know typically of where you work. So if you're not putting the time into trying to manage that representation and the information that people can see and the perceptions they might have of you, then it's sort of something that's outside your control. So I think it's personally a wise decision to put some stock into it. And you can easily see from people on YouTube that certain people have been able to really get a lot of respect and I think recognition and credibility, which can then flow through to offline business and offline sales. I think the advice around asking questions, being inquisitive, and having a curiosity, it's something that I've found cropping up more and more. So 6+ maybe 7 years of recruitment, working both for large global agencies and running my own agency in more recent times, I've met a lot of very talented people, and I can easily say that whether it's a junior person coming in or it's a senior level person, the people that do have a bit more natural curiosity and they've got a real hunger and a thirst and desire to learn, I think those things sort of fit together and it shows someone who's a real performer. I particularly liked he pulled out care. So care, real genuine caring. I'm all about it. Yeah, whether it's with your family, personal, professional, as Phil would have put it, I think having that genuine care factor, it really makes a big difference. Jumping back to personal brand, so with the personal brand, if you're an employer, think about how you can help people and their personal brand. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in the DeBella story of focusing on not just the corporate goal, but also people's individual careers and their passions and their interests and ways that they could actually, I guess, take advantage of those things or utilize those things and help those people to develop skills. It's a great story. The lady who went all the way from being a barista up to the head of people and culture and managing a variety of other channels through the process, which I thought was really, really great. I think the message that comes through regularly, and it's a topic that you'll soon learn is close to my heart, is that university is not necessarily for everybody. It's just another channel, another avenue. I really love the short course things, the intensives, and I think that that's something that I would look at. And I think makes more sense in today's era, particularly when there's so much great content that you can get online. Phil's dad's advice about hanging around with people that are smarter than you, it's something that I picked up through the course of my life, and I've tried to make a conscious effort of it. It's not that I've barred other people at all, but I certainly try to spend the bulk of my time with people who are smarter than I am, and also I think are great human beings. So that's, it's not all about strategy. Don't get the wrong picture there, and don't think if I haven't spent time with you that therefore I don't think that you're smart. So that would be a tragedy. Another way that I kind of tackle this is awesome at the moment is the ability to tap into all these thought leaders. So pretty much anybody that you regularly listen to in your rotation on your podcast, or people that you watch on YouTube and you might subscribe to, like TheNewCanvas, for example, wink wink, nudge nudge. So it's almost having a virtual tribe or a virtual circle of smart friends. So I think it's a great idea to find at least 5, or maybe thereabouts, depending on how much time you have, around 5 people who produce great content, and it's informative and it's giving you something that I guess is enriching and value to your life. Making a habit to do things that others can't or won't. I think it's tied into going the extra mile. I think it's tied into doing jobs that other people don't want to do. I think, ultimately a successful business solves problems, so somebody's got some sort of problem. Maybe they've got more problems than you initially thought. So Debella, it's not just around the case of these individual operators deciding which coffee beans to use. It's also around how they actually serve the coffee, how they understand to sell the coffee, how much passion they have, the backstory that they might know about the farmers. It's more and more and more if you really think about it. Yeah, Phil makes a good point of having really clearly defined goals and having systems and processes that align with the goals. So you could see that everybody within the developed business knew what their main core goal was, and they knew where their role was in that process. Yeah, look, I think that's about it. I've got to get upstairs and make sure that my wife hasn't killed the children. Just kidding. Anybody who has young kids, and ours are 7 and 2, know that they can be a handful. They're awesome, but I'm going to have to go and check that out. Hey again, I hope you've got some great knowledge out of this. Please hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Click like if you liked it. It takes a couple of seconds. It actually makes a big difference for someone like me starting out. Share it even. I know that's going an extra stretch, but it's really not that hard. Click the little arrow, share icon, and flick it to some friends. Share it on Facebook. There are more and more episodes on their way, and if anybody can think of great people for me to interview, I'm certainly open to that. I am particularly interested in people that have found a way into success without necessarily going to uni, or perhaps they studied uni but they found a way into their career through alternate means. So that's just, I guess, a side note, not to say I wouldn't talk to somebody else. Yeah, look, I mean, this is the opportunity. So it's really, I think, like Phil's approach, and I think my approach, you've got nothing to lose, or little to lose really, here in Western society. Yes, you might have some financial strain, and yes, that can create some drama with family and things like that, and these are real problems that we face. But at the end of the day, there are just too many people, I think, sitting on great ideas, and they just need to take a leap and have a go for it. So I can't encourage that enough to pursue your dreams, and I really look forward to seeing what everybody creates and hearing about the next amazing thing that is on the face of the planet. So, all right, have a great week, and I'll catch you next time.